The Galactic Council Hall was massive, larger than any star station in the known universe. Hundreds of alien delegates moved across the glowing platforms, their voices echoing in the hall like the hum of distant stars. At the center hung a star map, so large it seemed to float in the air. Stars blinked in vibrant colors, planets spun slowly, and countless routes between systems were marked in glowing lines. Every corner of the known galaxy was mapped except one. At the edge of the map was a black, unmarked region. It was perfectly still, empty, almost as if the universe itself avoided it. Whispers filled the hall whenever someone glanced at it. "Do not go there," one elder alien said in a low voice. "Humans, they are dangerous," another replied, shivering slightly. No one openly spoke of what happened there. It was a space the Galactic Council had long forbidden to explore. Every delegate knew better than to ask why. Yet everyone felt its presence, a shadow over the entire galaxy. Among the crowd, a young alien explorer named Kale stared at the black expanse with wide, curious eyes. Unlike most of his peers, he did not feel fear. He felt questions. Why is it forbidden? What makes them so dangerous? Kale was small for his species, with silver scales that shimmered under the hall lights. He had trained his whole life to navigate uncharted space, to map systems, and to discover new worlds. But nothing in his training prepared him for this. The black void was different. It was alive, or at least it felt that way. Something powerful was hidden there, and Kale could not resist the pull. He listened as the elders debated trade routes, security, and alliances. Their words made him more determined. "Dangerous humans," they muttered. "Do not approach." Yet none could explain why. To Kale, it smelled like a story, one the council was too afraid to finish. When the meeting adjourned, Kale slipped away from the crowded platforms. The hall was emptying, and the corridors hummed quietly with distant engines. He found his small ship tucked in a private docking bay, waiting as if it had been prepared just for him. Kale touched the hull lightly. The metal was cool, the system silent, and yet he felt a strange warmth from the ship. He ran through his plan in his mind. Officially, he was assigned to chart a minor star cluster near the outer rim. No one would suspect he was heading farther, but tonight he would cross into the forbidden zone. He would see what humans had built, what powers they held, and why the galaxy feared them. As Kale prepared, he remembered stories he had overheard from older explorers. Tales of fleets sent to human worlds that never returned. Ships found floating in pieces with strange scorch marks no alien weapon could make. Rumors of humans fighting armies hundreds of times their size. Nothing official, just whispers. But the whispers had reached every corner of the council. Everyone had heard the warnings. Everyone, except Kale. The engines of his ship roared to life, quiet at first, then growing louder as the systems checked themselves. The star map above shimmered in his memory, every light a reminder of known space. And then the black void. It called to him. Kale's hands hovered over the controls, his heart racing. He felt the thrill of the unknown, a mixture of fear and excitement that made every nerve in his body hum. He whispered to himself, "I have to know." He launched the ship into the dark corridors of space, passing through asteroid fields and the edge of mapped star systems. With each light year he crossed, the glow of the known galaxy faded behind him. Silence surrounded the ship, heavier than any vacuum should allow. Even the hum of his engine seemed small against the vast black. Then he saw it, a faint shimmer at the edge of human space. Not stars, not planets, but something else. Something moving, massive, and deliberate. Kale froze. His instincts screamed at him to turn back, to obey the council's warnings. Yet his curiosity burned stronger than fear. He adjusted his sensors and scanned the object. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. A fleet, enormous and perfectly ordered, but silent. No movement, no weapons visible, and yet the presence it radiated was undeniable. Power, discipline, a warning. Humans had arrived. Or rather, they had always been there, watching, waiting. Kale's mouth went dry. He realized something terrifying. The stories were true. Humans were not just dangerous, they were beyond danger. They were the unknown the galaxy had feared for centuries. As he prepared to retreat, a thought struck him. The council had hidden this truth not because they wanted to protect the galaxy. It was because they could not stop humans. They could only warn others away. Kyle's small ship hummed in the darkness, the black void of human space stretching before him like a challenge. He had crossed the first threshold and now there was no turning back. Somewhere out there, the humans waited. And Cale knew deep down that the universe was about to learn a lesson it had long ignored. Curiosity could awaken powers no one could control. He took a deep breath, set his course, and whispered, "Let's see what you're hiding." Cale's ship drifted through the outer rim, far beyond the familiar star systems of the Galactic Council. The black void of human space loomed ahead, silent and immense like a wound in the fabric of the galaxy. Every star behind him seemed smaller now, every blinking light a reminder of the order he was leaving behind. Here, in this uncharted space, nothing was certain. The sensors on his ship beeped softly, scanning the emptiness ahead, but the readings were strange, almost impossible. Stars flickered out of existence for moments, as if something passed between them and Cale's instruments. Energy fields twisted unpredictably, interfering with navigation. Even the ship's shields occasionally shimmered, reacting to forces Cale could not identify. What in the universe? Cale muttered, gripping the control stick. He had flown through asteroid storms near collapsing stars, even through wormhole anomalies, but this felt alive. Human space was alive. Hours passed, measured only by the slow rotation of distant suns. Kyle tried to remain calm, reminding himself of his mission: observe, gather data, and return safely. But curiosity gnawed at him. The black expanse called to him, promising answers and danger all at once. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up something moving. A shadow, huge and deliberate, gliding silently across the void. Cale froze. It was not a comet, not an asteroid. It was organized, shapes perfectly aligned, moving with purpose. He activated the external cameras and stared at the screen. A fleet appeared. It was enormous, like nothing the Galactic Council had ever seen. The ships were angular, metallic, and silent. No lights, no weapons visible, yet the aura of power was unmistakable. Cale's chest tightened. These were humans. He could feel it. He did not know how, but instinct told him humans were not just advanced, they were untouchable. Kyle debated retreating. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back. But another voice, smaller yet louder in his mind, urged him forward. See them, understand them, learn. Curiosity won over fear. Slowly, he edged closer to the fleet, scanning every detail, recording every movement. Then came the anomaly. One of the human ships detached from the formation and drifted toward Cale's path. It did not communicate, did not fire, did not attack. Yet Cale could feel its presence like a weight pressing on his mind. Something in the design, the energy, the perfect balance of the vessel made him shiver. Humans were watching him, even without words. Cale's hands trembled over the controls. He adjusted the shields, increased the sensor sweep, and tried to maintain composure. The closer he moved, the more he realized. Humans did not just build ships. They built warnings. Every vessel radiated a message: do not cross. You will regret it. Hours turned into days as Cale's journey continued. He passed planets that had never been catalogued, moons with strange glowing minerals, and asteroids that hummed faintly with energy. The environment itself seemed to resist his passage. Navigational instruments failed intermittently, star charts went blank, and even the ship's engines occasionally stuttered. Kyle realized something important. Human space was not just a region of stars and planets. It was a living defense. Systems reacted to intruders. The void itself seemed to be part of the humans' power. No alien fleet could enter without warning, and most did not dare try. Finally, Cale approached the inner rim of human space, where the fleet disappeared from sensors, but the anomalies grew stronger. He could feel the intensity building around him, a tension that made even the silence threatening. A sudden pulse of energy shook his ship. Alarms blared. "What is this?" Cale shouted, clutching the controls. The pulse passed as quickly as it came, leaving a strange calm behind. Yet his ship's sensors now registered something else, signals. Not speech, not standard communication, but patterns of energy moving like living code. Humans were communicating through the void itself. Cale leaned closer to the console, heart racing. He could not understand it fully, but he knew one thing. Humans were awake. They were aware of him. They were judging him, and the thought made him both terrified and fascinated. He considered turning back. After all, the stories were true. Fleets sent into human space never returned. But Cale had come too far. The need to know, to witness, burned stronger than the fear of death. He adjusted his course deeper into the forbidden zone, guided by curiosity and defiance. As he passed a ring of glowing debris, Kyle saw it. The first human planet. Not a ruined world, not a hidden base, but a thriving, active world radiating energy and life. Cities glowed in the dark. Kale's small ship drifted closer to the human fleet, and his chest tightened with both excitement and fear. The humans were everywhere. Ships of all sizes moved with precision, yet there was no chaos, no wasted movement. It was as if the void itself bent around their presence. He activated the external cameras and scanned their vessels. The ships were unlike anything in the galaxy. Sleek, metallic, and pulsating with faint energy, they seemed almost alive. There were no visible weapons, no firing ports, yet the aura of power was undeniable. Kale could feel it pressing on his mind, a subtle warning. Do not cross the line. For a moment, Kale considered retreating, but his curiosity pushed him forward. He had seen stories of humans before, legends whispered in the council chambers, but nothing prepared him for this. These were not just survivors of countless wars. These were masters of the void, and he was witnessing them firsthand. Suddenly, one of the human ships detached from the main formation and slowly moved toward him. Kale froze. The ship did not fire. It did not signal. It simply approached, silent and deliberate. He could feel the pressure of its presence through the ship's hull, as though the human vessel itself were aware of his thoughts. Keep calm, Kyle whispered to himself, though his voice trembled. He tried to send a standard greeting on the universal channel, a simple, "We come in peace." There was no immediate response. Then, in a way he did not expect, a voice spoke, not through radio but directly into his mind. It was calm, almost casual, yet it carried weight beyond words. "Why are you here?" Kale's hands froze. He looked around, expecting cameras or holograms. There was nothing, only the blackness of space and the glowing human ship. Yet the words echoed clearly in his mind. I'm an explorer," Kale replied, unsure how to even speak. "I wanted to see human space." There was silence. The human ship hovered for a long moment, then retreated slightly, signaling nothing but a subtle warning. Kale realized something terrifying. Humans did not just see him, they understood him. They could feel his intentions, measure his fear, and assess his courage. Kyle's mind raced. The stories were true. Humans were not just dangerous. They were beyond danger. They did not need weapons to dominate. They needed presence, skill, and understanding. Any wrong move could cost him his life. Yet any move of hesitation could cost him even more. His chance to learn. He activated his own recording systems, capturing every detail. The human fleet moved with grace, each vessel in perfect formation, yet their power was quiet, contained, almost invisible. It was not aggression, it was control. Every system, every ship, every signal seemed designed to warn intruders without firing a single shot. Kale's curiosity won over fear. Slowly, he edged closer, scanning planets, stations, and strange energy fields that surrounded the fleet. Nothing attacked. Nothing fired. But he could feel the intelligence behind every movement. Humans were aware of everything, always. Then came the first warning sign. A small probe from one of the human ships approached Kale's vessel. Unlike a weapon, it did not explode or fire lasers. Instead, it scanned him, his ship and his mind. He could feel it probing, testing, calculating. It paused at intervals, then withdrew, leaving Kale shaken but unharmed. He realized the truth. Humans did not rely on brute force. They relied on understanding, on strategy, and on patience. The Council had warned the galaxy for centuries, yet no one truly understood until now. Humans were unpredictable, powerful, untouchable. Hours passed, and Kale explored the edge of the fleet. He saw cities on planets glowing like living stars, fleets moving with silent efficiency, and strange towers that pulsed with energy beyond comprehension. Every observation made him more awed, yet more terrified. He recorded every detail, knowing he could not show it to the Council, not fully. No one would believe the truth. The legends he had heard in the Council chambers were true, but reality was far greater. Humans were not just a civilization, they were a force of nature. As he prepared to leave, a thought struck him. The humans had allowed him to observe, to approach, yet they had not attacked. Why? Perhaps they were testing him, measuring the galaxy's curiosity. Perhaps they wanted the Council to learn a lesson without firing a shot. Kale's hands shook as he engaged his ship's engines to retreat. He glanced back at the fleet one last time. The human vessels remained calm, almost indifferent, yet their presence pressed upon him like a shadow. He whispered to himself, This is why no one enters human space. This is why the map ends here. The journey back through the void felt heavier than the approach. Cale replayed everything in his mind. The fleet, the silent warnings, the power and the calmness of humans. He realized that the stories were not exaggeration, they were understatement. Humans were not just dangerous, they were beyond understanding, and the galaxy had barely scratched the surface of their true capabilities. As he neared the edge of the known map, Cale made a promise to himself. He would return. He had seen only a fraction, but it was enough to know the truth. Humans were extraordinary, and the Council's warnings were not for protection, they were for survival. Cale's eyes lingered on the black expanse one last time before jumping back toward mapped space. Somewhere in the darkness, humans waited, silent, patient, and watching, and Cale knew deep down that the galaxy's greatest unknown had only just revealed its first signs of life. Cale returned to the edge of the Galactic Council's territory, but his mind remained deep in human space. The journey had changed him. He had seen the humans, not just their ships, but their presence, their calm yet overwhelming power. Every system, every planet, every ship seemed alive with intelligence and intent. The legends the Council whispered about humans were nothing compared to the reality he had witnessed. Back in the Council chambers, Cale tried to act normal. The elders discussed trade routes, supply lines, and disputes between minor species. None of them noticed the storm of thoughts raging in Cale's mind. The map hung above, glowing as usual, but the black void of human space felt heavier now, almost like it pressed down on the hall itself. Cale knew that he could not tell them the truth. They would never believe it. No sensor reading, no recording could convey the magnitude of what he had seen. Humans were not just advanced, they were something beyond understanding, something the Council itself feared. That night, Cale accessed the Council's restricted archives. He searched for old transmissions, historical reports, and fleet records. What he found both shocked and fascinated him. There were stories of humans fighting fleets hundreds of times their size, reports of planets that had been attacked. Yet the humans not only defended them, they destroyed entire alien armadas with precision and control that seemed impossible. One record described a battle hundreds of years ago. A massive alien fleet approached Earth, believing it would be an easy conquest. But the humans struck first. Entire wings of enemy ships were destroyed before they even realized they were under attack. Survivors reported that humans appeared out of nowhere, moving with speed, strategy, and strength unlike anything known. They did not just fight. They dominated the battlefield with a combination of intelligence, coordination, and force. Cale read every record carefully. The humans' victories were not just brute strength. They were planning, strategy, and foresight. Every move anticipated the enemy, every decision calculated, and yet they did not strike for conquest. Humans defended what was theirs and nothing more. Hours passed as Cale absorbed every detail. The Council's warnings made sense now. Humans were unpredictable, uncontainable. Every fleet sent to investigate human space had either vanished or returned with stories so unbelievable that the Council buried them. The galaxy had learned fear, but it had never learned the truth. Cale leaned back in his chair, a chill running down his spine. He realized that humans were not only advanced, they had survived and thrived in ways no one else could. They had weathered wars, invasions, and cosmic disasters, and yet they remained undefeated. Their technology, their fleets, and their ability to adapt were unmatched. And then came the most terrifying realization. Humans had not needed to expand aggressively. The galaxy feared them without a single declaration of war. Humans did not conquer. They simply existed, and that was enough to command respect and fear. Cale decided to investigate further. Using his ship, he discreetly followed signals emanating from human worlds. He discovered hidden installations on barren moons, training stations on remote planets, and energy networks spanning entire star systems. Each facility seemed designed to monitor, train, and prepare, not for war but for defense. Humans were ready for anything, yet they chose patience, observation, and careful action over rash moves. One transmission caught Cale's attention. It was old, centuries old, yet it spoke volumes. A human commander addressed his fleet before a historic battle. We do not seek war. We only defend ourselves. But any who challenge us will learn our strength. Patience is our greatest weapon. Kyle felt a shiver. This was not just strategy. This was philosophy. Humans did not fight for power, glory, or conquest. They fought to protect, to survive, and to maintain balance. And because of that, the galaxy had always underestimated them, and always would until it was too late. For the first time, Kyle understood why the map ended at human space. The void was not empty. It was a warning, a boundary drawn by humans themselves. Kale's ship drifted closer to the inner planets of human space. His sensors detected activity everywhere, cities glowing like miniature suns, fleets moving with perfect precision, and strange energy fields pulsating rhythmically. The closer he came, the more he realized how alive this space was. Humans were not just present. They controlled everything subtly, silently, completely. He approached a small outpost planet, a hub for observing nearby systems. From orbit, Kale could see sprawling cities connected by bright energy streams and ships launching into the void without sound. The level of coordination stunned him. Every movement was deliberate, efficient, almost artistic. Yet, there was something else. An underlying tension. A readiness that made even a seasoned explorer like Kale uneasy. His ship's sensors picked up a patrol approaching. Kale held his breath. The patrol vessels were small but moved with uncanny speed. They circled his ship, scanning, calculating, analyzing every detail. Kale could feel their awareness like a weight pressing on him. They were observing, not attacking, but he knew any wrong move could provoke disaster. Suddenly, a human voice entered his mind. Calm, clear, and firm. State your purpose. Why are you here? Kale's hands froze on the controls. He had expected silence or maybe a signal, but not this direct telepathic-like communication. His heart pounded. We come in peace. I am an explorer, he thought, projecting his words as best he could. There was a pause. Then the humans responded, Curiosity is dangerous, but you may observe. Any attempt to deceive will end poorly. Kyle exhaled, tension leaving his shoulders just slightly. Humans did not rush. They did not attack impulsively. They waited. They measured. And in that measured patience lay their true power. He adjusted his orbit and began scanning the planet more closely. The technology, the coordination, and the energy flows were beyond anything he had ever imagined. Humans were prepared for threats he could not even conceive. Every fleet, every tower, every city was designed not just to defend but to dominate any potential invader. Kale's mind raced. He had always believed humans were clever, resourceful, but now he understood they were extraordinary. They were not merely advanced. They were untouchable within their own space. Every action, every system, every vessel carried a warning. Do not cross us. A small human craft detached from the planet's surface and approached him slowly. Kale's sensors picked up no weapons, no aggressive maneuvers, yet he could feel the presence of the human vessel. It was as though it were reading him, understanding his thoughts, analyzing his intentions. The human vessel stopped a short distance away. Kale could see a figure inside, a human. Their eyes were calm yet piercing. Kale felt exposed, like every thought, every motive, every fear was visible. You are far from your home, the human said aloud, voice carrying through a communication channel Kale barely understood. Why risk the journey into human space? Kale swallowed hard. I seek knowledge. I wanted to understand. Humans, he replied. The human nodded slightly, almost imperceptibly. Curiosity is valuable, but dangerous. Many have entered our space. Few leave to tell their story. Observe, learn, and leave wisely. Kyle's hand shook. He had expected a hostile reception, maybe even attack, but this calm authority, this quiet power was far more intimidating than weapons. Humans did not need to threaten with destruction. Their presence alone commanded fear and respect. Hours passed as Kale explored the outskirts of the human outpost. Every interaction, every observation reinforced the same lesson. Humans were not just a civilization, they were a force of nature. They controlled fleets, technology, and communication in ways that no alien species could hope to match. Kale realized that the Council's warnings were not exaggerations. They had kept the galaxy in the dark because the truth was too overwhelming. Humans did not need fleets to intimidate. They did not need empires to dominate. Their presence alone was enough to ensure survival and to inspire caution in anyone who dared approach. As night fell on the outpost planet, Kale recorded his observations, careful to capture every detail. He understood that this encounter would change the galaxy if anyone ever believed him. The humans had allowed him to see, to approach, to witness. But they had made it clear: respect their space, understand their power, and leave without defiance. Kyle's ship hummed softly as he prepared to depart. He looked once more at the human fleet. The outposts, the glowing cities, and the silent towers. The humans had not fired a single shot. They had not attacked, yet they had shown him more than any fleet of hundreds of ships could. "This is why the map ends here," Kale whispered. "This is why no one dares enter. Humans are not just dangerous, they are untouchable." He set his course back toward the edge of mapped space, knowing that what he had seen was only a fraction of their true power. The humans had revealed enough to leave an impression, but the full depth of their civilization remained hidden. Kale understood one thing clearly: the galaxy had long underestimated humans, and that mistake could prove fatal to anyone who ignored the warnings. As he left human space behind, Kale glanced back at the black void stretching endlessly before him. Somewhere out there, humans watched, silent and patient, and Kale knew the next encounter would test not just his courage, but the limits of the entire galaxy's understanding. Kale's ship drifted back into the mapped regions of the galaxy. Stars and familiar planets blinked around him like comforting friends, but his mind remained tangled in what he had witnessed. Humans were unlike anything the Council or the galaxy had ever faced. Their presence alone commanded respect, even fear, without a single shot being fired. Back at the Galactic Council, Kale's arrival caused a ripple of curiosity. Delegates paused mid-conversation as he entered the chambers. The star map above glowed brightly, but the black void of human space seemed heavier than ever, like a shadow pressing down on the Council. The elders waited silently. Kale's mission had been official, but the truth he carried was not something the Council expected, or could easily comprehend. He cleared his throat and began his report, choosing words carefully. "I observed the edge of human space," Kale said. "Their fleets, their planets, their systems. It is unlike anything we have catalogued. They are beyond dangerous. They are beyond our understanding." Whispers filled the chamber. Aliens leaned closer, but no one interrupted. Kale continued. "I have seen cities glowing with power, fleets moving without sound, and defenses that seem alive. They did not attack me, yet I felt their presence like a weight pressing on my mind." The council elders exchanged uneasy glances. Some had heard rumors, but Kale's words confirmed what everyone had feared but never fully believed. Humans were real, and their power was beyond measure. Kale paused. "I have learned why the map stops at their space. It is not empty. It is a warning. Humans protect themselves, and the galaxy must respect that." A silence fell over the chamber. For the first time in centuries, the council felt the weight of their fear made real. Every species, every fleet, every plan to expand ignored human space, and for good reason. Humans were not conquerors. They did not seek to dominate, yet their power made them untouchable. Then, as Kale finished, something unexpected happened. The star map flickered, and a holographic projection appeared above the council floor. At first it looked like another star system, but slowly it became clear. It was a human. A single human, standing tall, eyes calm but commanding. "Greetings, Council," the human said. The voice carried not just through communication channels, but into the minds of all present. Perfectly clear. "We have observed you for centuries. You have debated, plotted, and expanded, but you have not understood. Humanity does not seek your permission to exist. We exist to survive, to protect, and to endure." The council froze. Hundreds of alien delegates, experts in politics, war, and negotiation, stared in stunned silence. The human's presence was not threatening in the usual sense. There were no weapons, no fleet behind them, just sheer authority, and that authority was enough to command attention, respect, and fear. The human continued. "We have watched your fleets. We have seen your plans. Some have tried to challenge us. They have failed. Humanity is not violent by nature, but we are capable of defending ourselves against anything. The map stops at our space because our space is not for conquest. It is for survival. Do not test us." A murmur spread across the chamber. Kyle's heart raced. He had witnessed part of this power, but the council was seeing it for the first time. The weight of truth settled over the room like a storm cloud. The human spoke one final sentence, calm but filled with unmistakable warning. "Curiosity is natural. Curiosity is welcome, but ignorance is dangerous. Learn this lesson well, then the projection vanished. The star map above resumed its normal glow, but the black void of human space seemed more ominous than ever. The Council, which had always prided itself on knowledge and control, realized for the first time that humans were the unknown they could never tame. Kale stepped back, breathing slowly. He had returned as a messenger, but he now understood the full gravity of what humans represented. They were not invaders, not conquerors, not monsters. They were guardians of their own fate. The galaxy had long underestimated them, and the lesson would remain clear for generations. The Council's discussions continued, but no one spoke of fleets, expansions, or attacks on human space. The V,